Hey, how are you guys? Today I'm going to talk about a very important topic, which is about the quant outsourcing to India. I'm going to talk about why so many global companies, global banks, insurance companies, private funds are outsourcing quantitative research work to India and how things have evolved over time. When I started out about more than a decade back, things were very different back then. Not many international banks were doing the quant work in India. They were doing a bit of a marketing analytics sort of work, but not many were actually developing in the top end modeling work, or building models and for risk management, or building models for trading. That was not happening, or there were just a few opportunities. Right, things have changed dramatically. So I'm going to talk about as to why that's happening and how you can sort of take advantage of it. And it's very good for people in India, especially the ones who are in college, the ones who have technical expertise. They have interest in finance, but they're also good in mathematics and coding and programming, interest in programming. If you come from that sort of a background, especially if you're coming from if you're someone who's got interest in mathematics, and have some interest in economics or finance, it's a wonderful place to be. If you're good with numbers and if you have interest in money or investment in economics, it is a wonderful opportunity in India. Things were very different actually. 15-20 years back, there were not many opportunities. There were a lot of opportunities in the IT outsourcing sector. TCS, Infosys, Accenture, IBM, they were hiring a lot of engineers. They're still hiring, but other than that, there were not many opportunities, let's say, in software development side, right? It was primarily in software maintenance, right? The low end technical outsourcing was at its peak actually during 2005 and 6. But the high end outsourcing, right, whether it is actual product development or quantitative research, that sort of work was not being outsourced to India back then. But things have changed. Right, it all started with a company called GE Money. We started, outsourcing its model development work to India, and they started a center, I think, in Bangalore, and they hired a number of economists and statisticians to develop the models. GE Money was part of the GE group. GE is General Electric is a very big corporation, and started their first analytics operation out of India. And a lot of the people who actually used to work there are currently now heading a lot of analytics departments in India. Many of them are holding very big positions in various companies. So they were the first one to outsource quantitative research work to India, followed by American Express, which started a very wonderful center in Gurgaon in Delhi, and they started outsourcing a lot of quant related activities from the US to India. Started hiring a lot of people from Indian statistical institutions, IITs, and Delhi School of Economics, and these places, and they started. A very big center, hired a number of people actually, and that really boosts the confidence of other companies to also to outsource their work, quant related work, to India. Before that, there was a lack of trust actually, because a lot of the banks were not very confident whether more high-end skilled work can be outsourced to India or not. They were not sure about that. But things changed after GE and Amex started. A few American banks followed. Citibank, in particular, started outsourcing the quant-related activities to India. I think in the mid 2005, 7, something like that. But there was an inflection point in 2008 during the financial crisis. Because after that, banks had to do a lot of quant work because of the increased level of regulations. Bank had to do a lot of stress testing, build models on variety of things. They had to build models for every single decision they had to take, and that was mandated by the Federal Reserve in the US and other regulators in elsewhere in the world. So other companies, other banks, beside the ones I just named, they also had increased pressure to build models, and that's when they realized it's time we should also outsource the work to India. Beside the IT work, all the banks were also outsourcing IT work to India, but not the quant related activities. And that's when they started outsourcing to India. And it's not just the US bank, even the European banks, UK banks or your other European banks started outsourcing work to India. HSBC in particular has big quant teams in India. So has Barclay and RBS, Deutsche Bank, UBS, Credit Suisse, BNP Paribas, you name it. There's a number of banks from Europe also. They're doing the quant work from India. So after 2008, things accelerated a lot, and there was just insane demand of for quant in India. And you'd be surprised the kind of salaries being offered during 2013, 14, 15 in that time to quants. You'll be very surprised. The salaries of many of these the non-IIT graduates also in India were actually more than many IIT graduates, and simply because back then the quant teams were not hiring people from IITs for quant related activity. They used to hire from economics and statistics colleges, and they were paid actually more than many IIT graduates. Things have changed, by the way. Now I think they're also hiring BTechs and bachelor degree graduates from various colleges, including the non-IIT, non-tier 1 colleges in India. I myself have hired quite a few also. So things have changed quite dramatically. But back then, in 2013 and 14, there was a huge shortage of quants, and so the salaries were very, very lucrative back then. And it only increased over time, because once projects were successfully delivered from India, the trust was built, and many banks, right, even the mid-sized banks, smaller banks started outsourcing work to India, and that has happened over the last 7 to 8 years, right? And not just the bank; it's also the insurance companies. Not many insurance companies were outsourcing quant related activities to India before, I think, 2010, and things got accelerated. Both quant, like actuarial and non-actuarial work, now they're quite heavily outsourcing to India. Beside that, even the private funds and the trading companies, they're also outsourcing a lot of their work to India. Although it's still quite small compared to the outsourcing, the volume of work that is coming from the big banks, and it is not changing anytime soon, because it's a huge cost pressure now on the banks. So they want to save money, and one of the big finest way to save money is to outsource work to offshore locations, which is India, and India is the biggest offshore location for most of the big banks. So hence, it is quite likely that there will be a lot of demand for quant professionals in India. So if you have interest in maths and finance, you will have plenty of opportunities in this space. And beside that, the consulting firms, the global consulting firms, big four consulting firms, McKinsey and Boston Consulting, the management consulting firm also, even they started getting a lot of work from these investment banks, and they were outsourcing the work to India. You'll be surprised to know how many people are actually working in model development with the big four consulting firms out of India for global companies, right? That was not the case 10-15 years back. There was small amount of work, but not as much as it is happening now, right? Things have changed, so there's a increased huge demand compared to 15 or 20 years back, right? But this is a field which is less known to people, because in India there is no such there are not many good quant finance programs in India. People do engineering, and they only think about a coding job, which is great, by the way, nothing wrong with that. It's just that there are also other opportunities, and this is one such area where you can also do a good career if you have interest in coding and mathematics and some finance, right? There are a few other things I would like to share also, which is that you know despite the shortage of talent, I think India is still doing well when it comes to uh, the delivering quant research projects for the global companies. I remember UBS doing from London to Mumbai. They started an office in Mumbai and they started delivering projects from Mumbai, and started hiring like many people in Mumbai, the office in Mumbai. So, and I also know a couple of other big banks doing that, and more recently, by the way, in last 5 years, 4 5 years. So these are some positive things I would say. It's growing. That's also a good news. And it's not just the US and European companies who are doing that. Even the non-US, non-European companies are also doing that. Japanese company Nomura is also doing that. DBS, the Singaporean bank, is doing that. Australian bank ANJ, Commonwealth Bank, they're also doing that. South African bank, I was very surprised to know that some of the big South African banks also are now outsourcing quant related activities to India. Middle Eastern banks are also doing that. Many Dubai, Abu Dhabi based companies are also outsourcing quant related activities to India, which is a very good news actually. That there is a huge trust on the talent and the Indian talent, and that is very good. That was only on the IT outsourcing for a very long time, but I'm really happy that this is also happening other fields, including quant research. I'm sure there are also other fields, for example, in the tech sector, things are very positive there as well. But this is one area also which is very upcoming and quite promising. So it's important that we have also sufficient number of talent in India who are interested in this field, and more importantly, even are aware of it. Because I know people who are very interested, but they have no clue how to sort of get started. Many of them even haven't heard about it even once. Even though they had strong interest in mathematics when they were in school or college, but later on they lost the interest because they felt there is no career opportunity in mathematics. If you know mathematics, you can just do some coding and work as an IT consultant, but there's nothing more to it. But that's not true actually. This is one field which you can explore if you have interest in mathematics. If you have questions, do not forget to ask me in the comment section or just email me. See you next time, guys. Bye.